friends with our singing group, The Creations, Eileen, Sylvia.
Oh my goodness.
We get together at least twice a year, and we're kind of all over. Barbara's in Arizona, Sylvia's in Florida, Karen Pichelle is nearby, she's near me. And so we all get together, it's really nice, plus some other people sometimes. So it's all good. I don't know what else I can say. I'm really happy that this is the format, Jim, because this is nice to hear what everybody's been doing and what they are doing. So I like this.
Good. And Barb, I should tell you, as somebody that's been out of New Jersey for over 20 years right now, it's really nice to hear a Jersey accent again.
Do you hear it? Do you
I don't think
really
we
hear
ever
it?
lose it.
I know. I didn't know I had
Hey,
a
Barb,
Jersey accent.
Are you making the coffee?
Coffee, laugh.
Yeah.
I love to laugh. And
She
Can't.
talks about her daughter.
daughter, yes. How funny is that?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Barb. Who's
Okay.
next? Somebody's got their hand up. Who
I'll
is that
go.
up there?
Oh,
Sally.
Sally.
Paula wants to go.
Oh, well, you could go, Sally.
I'm gonna lower your, I can't see because of the lighting, so I'm gonna lower your hand.
Whose hand? Mine? Or Sally's?
No. Well, let's see, who
Paula
wants to
wanted to
go?
go.
Okay.
Paula wanted to
I'll
go.
go. All right.
Paula, go. Go.
Paula.
And
Paula
welcome Linda,
Wolf
by the way,
Savage.
before you begin, welcome
Yeah.
Linda Pickard.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
There she is.
Welcome.
Oh, that's Paula.
Okay, Paula, go ahead. Linda,
Okay.
you'll kind of catch on to the rules as we go along here. This is a loosely structured set of rules, but you know, we're having fun doing it, so just kind of hang in there. Paula, go.
Okay. Paula Wolf Savage. I went from a wolf to a savage, which of course is right up my alley. I moved to Florida in 1976. Worked for American Express for 30 years.
Wow.
Met my husband at American Express. All four of our children have 4 feet and fur. We've had many children, but right now we just have 4. And that's my life, you know. Been indoors a lot lately. Otherwise, I am out and about constantly because we don't have snow, which I kind of miss. But the heat is wonderful. I just love 100-degree weather. It makes me just want to go out and run a mile. So fortunately, they built an indoor walking track right in our civic center. So that's what I do now. And that's it. Oh, and I
Thanks,
have
Paula.
one other thing. Wait a minute. Dave Goebel,
Yes.
you may call me that name anytime you want, and I promise to never slap you again.
Thank you.
What did he call you? What did he call you?
Oh, I won't give away the secret.
Sounds like an intimate.
They will.
No. Dave, do the honor. You may
Everybody,
tell the
hang on
story.
for 1 second. Everybody hang on for 1 second. I'm going to give you a little tease here, all right? Everybody stand by. Ready?
What?
Started
What are you looking at?
Ah,
Slideshow.
high school. You're
I have mine right here.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. I don't know if you could see it, but I have mine right here.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Just
I
want
don't think
to,
I've ever looked at this book.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God.
just want to let you see that there's a good buddy of mine right there. Means a lot to me. Bob
Cheetah?
Cheetah. Some of
It's
you
Cheetah.
He was,
Yes.
Facebook.
Potato, yes.
he was a good,
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
teacher. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Bob
he was my
Lamb,
mentor.
too.
He was
Very
he
active
wound up
on
being my
Facebook.
mentor.
very.
Hey, Jim, that's
Very
Mr.
active
Gorka,
on
right?
Facebook.
Jim, that's
That's
Gorka
Mr.
next to him, right?
Gorka.
Gorka,
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Gorka.
Mr. Gorka. And he,
Mr. Gorka.
Bob Lamp on the other
unfortunately,
page.
has passed away now.
Yeah,
There's Mr. Lennox and Mr.
Rook.
Yeah, Bill Rook down there,
Rook,
and
right.
I don't know if you remember Mr. Goes.
Goes.
Goes,
But,
right.
you know, when I went back to teach there, I don't know if all of you knew this, but I taught in Livingston for 32 years.
That's
Mhm.
amazing.
I did.
It was an
What did you
unbelievably
teach?
rewarding experience to be able to go back and work with some of these people, some of these men and women, because they were very instrumental in me turning into the person that I became. Whether that's good or bad, that's for others to judge. But it was a real honor being able to work with these people. And
What were you teaching, Jim?
I taught fine art and
You did?
ultimately television production.
Oh my
Yeah, I taught
gosh.
television.
How
We
about
built
that?
a TV studio in the high school, and
Wow.
some of you, I think, went on the tour, the 50th
Yes.
reunion
Yeah.
that we had.
Mhm.
And we went into the
Yeah.
TV studio and you saw the environment that I worked in. Remember Mike Stroop? There's Mike Stroop right there on the page. Mrs. Waldron,
Mrs. Waldron.
fantastic math teacher.
Great man.
Mr. Barry? And Mr. Barry.
And
Very,
Mrs.
yeah.
Levy,
Very, yeah.
Very, oh,
Levy,
yeah.
the French teacher.
Mrs. Feber. I have
Yeah.
Mrs. Feber.
Yeah.
Peter.
Fever?
There's Mrs. Feber up there, yeah.
Mhm.
Fever. Yeah.
That's the math
And
department.
there's the social studies department up there. And the English, the foreign language department. Remember Mr. Kapner?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Hey, is Ed Hill still around?
Oh.
Is who around?
Ed Hill?
Mr. Hill.
Mr. Hill.
Ed
Lower-
passed away.
Oh,
Ed passed away about 12 years ago.
Holy.
he's one of my favorites.
Oh,
Good guy.
yeah.
Yeah, he
I
was.
liked him a lot.
He was great.
Yeah.
I was in his class when Charlie Winters came on the PA and announced that John F. Kennedy was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Ed First's English 3 class when he first came on the speaker, the PA, and said that he had been shot.
Oh,
And then we
God.
changed classes, and I was in Ed Hill's class when he was pronounced dead.
Yeah. I was in Mr. Rancignola's Modern European History class.
And there he is, right there. There's his picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Jimmy
Mr.
Rance, and
Widener?
there's Dan Widener, Dr.
Oh,
Widener.
wow.
In junior high
Um,
school.
There's
Look how
Stan
young
Klein.
they all
Mhm.
look. They all
Yeah.
look so young, don't they?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
At all.
I did my student teaching at Livingston High School.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Rick Smart.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
16
Yeah.
it would be 1969. Yeah. For Rick Smart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and he became, I think.
He was a cop
he
before, I
became a
think.
cop.
Right.
Yeah.
I love those
Yeah, he was a
uniforms
good-
we wore in PE.
Oh, yeah.
Those were just
Those were the teachers. That was Miss
Steeple.
Jennings. She was a
Steeple
witch.
Green.
Miss Steele?
Yeah.
Who's the blonde? On the right.
Overrath.
Overath. She
Yeah.
was nice.
Yeah.
Jennings was rough.
Jennings was like a witch.
Oh, she
Yes.
I went.
Oh, my God.
I had a trip with my family when I was 13. My father had a business trip to Paris. And so we all went. And so I missed some school. What was I going to not miss some school to go to Paris in those days? No, I mean, and so she penalized me. She gave me the only D I ever got in high school. My going on that trip.
She was tough.
She was
She wasn't in,
Nuts
she was
to
not
have
tough
me.
in her later years, unfortunately.
no, she was what?
She was not tough in her later
Really?
years. Before she
Oh, really?
retired, the kids steamrolled all over her. I can remember
Oh.
teaching in my
Oh,
classroom. and watching her
Wow.
supposedly conduct a archery class outside on the where our student parking lot used to be. You remember that little field
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
the pool and the high school? She had an archery class out there, and my art class overlooked that field. And the kids were randomly shooting arrows up onto the roof of the high school. And as she would turn around to yell at the one that just shot that arrow, the other kid behind her back was launching an arrow, and she had really lost control. So anyway, that's just a little tease. We can come back to that in a little while. And I also have some photographs from, remember the senior trip to Vacation Valley?
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Vaguely, yeah. And how many of you, just raise your hand, how many of you were at the 50th reunion?
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Okay, well, I have pictures from that reunion as well. I'm ready to pull an all-nighter here, guys. So I don't know about you. All
That
right,
means
where do
On
we
the West Coast, it's only afternoon.
Bill's all set to go. Hey, Bill, you
That's
still
right.
in Cynthia? Bill Pot, the
All right, so
Pot.
we left off with, what did we leave off with? Paula, right?
Yes.
Let's see, who wants to go
Sally
next?
raised her hand.
Sally goes
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, I'd like to go. So,
Okay,
I really was so unsocialized in high school. I had the slightest clue about how to relate to my own peer group. I just didn't have any information on that. And I don't know how I bumbled my way along. And then when I went to college, I pretty much had a breakdown for like years, and didn't know what to study and so forth. And then I got a degree in early childhood education and studied development. And so then after I graduated from college, I was a nursery school teacher for a long time. And then after that, I went to graduate school in social work. And I decided to become a clinician. And so then I had a private practice for 34 years. And then but before I went to graduate school, while I was going to graduate school, I was in a cult, and I lived in a cult for 10 years,
Wow.
from age
Whoa.
25 to age
Years?
35.
Wow.
And it was a psychology cult, a kind of a special cult on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, in these great big pre-war buildings with doormen and, like 10-room apartments. And at one point I had 13 roommates, and we would designate some rooms date rooms where you could, have a sleepover date with somebody. And some rooms were dorm rooms with lots and lots of beds. And it was a pretty crazy way to live, but I did it for 10 years. So then I came out of that and I said, oh my God, look at the time. I better have children. So I figured out how to find the best guy. And I really worked very hard at it, and I found him. Now we've been married for 32 years. I got started a little late on this stuff. So, and I also have two fabulous sons. One is 31 and one is going to be 25. And we're all performers, basically. And so I retired. I almost said I graduated. I retired last June from my private practice because I started studying fiction writing at my alma mater at Sarah Lawrence, which is in the time since I graduated, they formed a writing institute there, which is a terrific organization. So any kind of writing that you want to learn to do, and of course, right now it's all remote, but they also have classes in how to get a publisher and how to get a book agent. I mean, it's a really good place and very good teaching, very good, So I've been working on a novel. So when I retired, I went just into working on the novel all the time. So I'm very excited about it. And I probably have about 5 more chapters to write to get a rough draft. And then I'll see, I'm not sure how it'll work beyond that, but I'm pretty sure I'll get it published. Why not? I think it's good.
Another author in our class.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Commando, right?
And,
Kathy Page.
From Alan Winter.
Kathy Page.
Kathy Page, of course.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Page.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my life, and I'm making quilts occasionally, and love my garden. Oh my God, love my garden. Although I do have an arch enemy, squirrel, that comes and eats the little blossoms that are about to flower, right? But so things are good. Things are good. But honestly, I feel like I owe all of you an apology for having been so out of it when I could have known all of you, and could have had fun. But I had a family with a lot of Michigas. So I had to attend to my parents a lot. And I was too good a girl, really.
But I
Anyway,
remembered
it's
you,
so nice to-
Sally.
Huh?
I
I
remember
remember
you.
sure.
Yeah.
Remember
Everybody
me.
did.
I
Yeah.
was not present for the occasion. I was, I mean, I was, you recognize me, but I honestly, I didn't take in enough data, to actually know you. I mean, Paula, I know from Hebrew school,
Right,
right? And
right,
we had sleepover dates and everything, right?
right.
Yeah, and we were really friends, but as littler kids, I think, like 7th grade, maybe it stopped. I don't know. Anyway, it was a long time.
We had a big class too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
it-
did.
Yeah.
We had a huge class.
486
Oh,
members.
I thought it was 458, but
That's
it
the number that I remember. 458 is the number I.
yeah, me too.
480.
Yeah.
But the classes got bigger
Yes,
after we graduated. My brother graduated 4 years later and they were way over us.
they're small classes now though, aren't they? At least in the school system around us.
Yeah, they're much smaller than
Yes.
than it was at one time. All right, Sally, that was pretty interesting.
Very good, Sally.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad
I-
to know
I
all of
didn't-
you.
I didn't know you led a secret life there in Manhattan.
Where?
Okay, who wants to go
High school?
next?
I'll go.
Good, okay.
Amy, go ahead, Amy.
Oh, okay. Yay. First row, first seat in every freaking class. Amy Allen. The Allen Carr. When I got to college, I sat in the back row. I never wanted to be discovered by another teacher. Anywho, as I explained
Linda.
earlier,
Oh, there you are. Okay.
okay. As I explained earlier, I'm not at my own home. My children, oh, my daughter just texted in, she's here. We're at a neighbor's house. I have 2 children, Melissa and Jesse. Melissa's 34. She's married with 2 children, my 2 grands, and they live in Manhattan in Chelsea, but they're here for a month because New York is pretty much shut down. And my son, Jesse, who's 35, just moved out of New York and is here and will be working in Florida. So I feel very blessed at the moment because as some of you might remember, at our 40th reunion, my late husband passed away
Yes.
the night of.
That.
And
was
yeah, it was awful. It was awful. So that was 15 years ago. So we are now at our this is our 55th reunion. Anywho, I studied I studied to be an elementary school teacher at Boston University, but then after that, I trooped off to London and trained for the theater for a year and a half, and then returned and did a master's degree at California Institute of the Arts, Creative and Performing Arts School in LA, started by Disney. I stayed there for 20 years and became an actress, as you all know. And when I met my husband, who also was from Teaneck, New Jersey, but we met in LA and married, we were both in the entertainment industry. And I stopped acting when I married him. He was my agent. And when I saw the inside of the industry, I went, I don't like it at all. It's too political. So I got out, and I soon after opened my own acting school, which I had for 33 years. I had it 10 years in LA, and then when we moved here to Orlando, which is where I live now, I had it for another 23 years. So I had an acting school, and then for 18 years, I had also at the same time, a summer performing arts camp for children, where we produce plays at the end of every week with the kids. And my third business that I also ran at the same time was a tour to Los Angeles, where we would train people to audition live for talent agents and managers and casting directors. Very successful. Many of them moved to LA and have, pursued, and many of them are still in the acting entertainment industry. So I retired 6 years ago, and retirement is interesting. And I think it's a conversation that maybe many of us could share, those of us who have retired, or some of us like Paul, who have started a new career in politics in Denver. I'm talking about you, Paul Cashman, and David Rubenfeld, who I know refuses to retire. But for those of us who did choose to retire, I was dating somebody at the time who said, when you retire, you don't stop, you just go on to your next career, whatever that is. And so I do a lot of volunteering. I love the USO. That's one of the things I do, but never had military in my family. And, book clubs. I'm very active physically. I work out probably every day for an hour or two. I just, when I wake up, I just have to move. And I like the first person who was talking, I'm trying to remember, I have a passion for gardening. So I live on an acre, and it's very overly landscaped, but I just feel really good when I get my hands in the dirt. It's a good feeling, and very, very friendly. I have a lot of people over to the house a lot, kind of very community oriented. I live in a small town of maybe 3,000. It's a little town inside of Orlando called Windermere, and we're on a chain of 13 connected lakes, and it's very pastoral. The actual town of Windermere has only dirt roads, and
Wow.
You feel like you're at summer camp, when you're walking home down the dirt roads. We have a couple of paved streets. My little cul-de-sac of 6 houses, which is paved, was incorporated into the town many, many years ago. But I feel like I live on Golden Pond. It's that kind of a peaceful feeling. And for that reason, I probably will never give up the house. I hope one of my 2 children will take it. It's just very special. Still single, never remarried after Philip passed. So, but like I said, very social. And I stay in touch with a lot of people from our class, kind of daily forwards of emails and things like that. And sometimes we talk. And I love that. I mean, what I find so astonishing and outstanding is that I think that each one of us tonight would probably be best friends with one another if we lived next door in the same town with one another.
Yeah.
I still feel so connected to each and every one of you, even you, Sally Francis.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
And I do remember you very well from high school. I just feel that we all have such a common core. No matter what our life experiences have been, or our politics have been or are, I just feel that we're all, I feel like you are all a treasure in my heart, that I feel so blessed and so grateful to have been a part of the class of 65.
Yay!
Very nice.
The end.
Very nice.
Thanks, Amy. That was awesome. Greg, I think, Greg, you had your hand up before and somehow I
Yeah.
obliterated.
That's
Go
okay,
ahead.
but this is Greg Dickey. It's Sandra's iPad. I'm at Sandra's house. So, on my iPad. Greg
Either that or
Dickey,
you could change your name.
No, his name hasn't changed. 2 kids, 5 grandkids. I retired initially in 1996 after 21 years of insanity as a federal agent in the U.S. Secret Service. Went back into, I was a teacher in high school, and went back into education and did 4 years as a high school VP and then 11 years as an elementary principal in Clifton here in New Jersey.
Oh,
And
my husband's from
Impressive.
so, yeah, the two wacky careers. And I still keep in contact with, of course, Drew, and to some degree, Bruce, whenever Bruce calls me back.
Yeah, I do. I did. You didn't answer.
I changed my number, Bruce. It's been a wild ride, and it's good to see all your faces again. I know everybody, and I'll keep it short because I know a lot of other people want to speak. So that's basically it.
Oh,
Thanks,
Beautiful.
Greg.
Thank you. That's great, Greg.
very impressive career.
Uh,
Greg, which president, were you involved with the president when you were in the Secret Service or just,
I was at the White House in the Reagan years for a year and a half, and then finished up. And when Richard Nixon moved back from San Clemente to Upper Saddle River, I had a chance to finish my protection time in Jersey, and I was on the Nixon detail up in Bergen County, and that was a trip and a half. That was a good job, and I had the dubious distinction of standing on Connecticut Avenue on post the day that that President Reagan was the attempted assassination by John.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That was a wild ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thanks for your service, Greg.
Yes.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
had
for your
no
service.
idea.
It's great. And of course, if that wasn't good enough, I went into New York, finished the last 10 years in the Manhattan field office, and was in the North Tower of not in 2001, but in 93, the first bombing, when the
Oh, wow.
and that was I was on the concourse level when that bomb went off, and I spent 2 days in Beekman Downtown Hospital getting the stuff vacuumed out of my lungs from that thing. But it was a fun trip. But
Wow.
Wow.
I put the real damper on this thing, didn't I?
No, I'm so impressed.
We saw the movie In the Line of Fire, right?
With us, Greg.
No, it's nowhere near as glamorous as it portends itself to be, believe me. I've spent a lot of times in the bottom of elevator shafts and at the bottom of escalators and all that for days on end. So it's,
What motivated you? Why did you get called to do that work?
I basically, well, as I say, out of college, I was a teacher of high school Spanish for 4.5 years. And I guess I got bitten by the law enforcement bug. And I had a neighbor at the time who was an FBI agent who, and I'll be quite honest, he used to come home every afternoon. He had the gray gabardine suit on, and he had the, jacket over his shoulder and sporting the handcuffs and the weapon. And I said, damn, that looks cool.
Was you're saying you did it because it was cool?
Yeah. Do you need another reason?
I'd love to give you.
That's so endearing.
There was some, deep down, passion of mine, but it wasn't. I just said, "Damn, I like to do that," And I applied to. I applied everywhere within the federal government, and the first job I got was with the U.S. Customs Service, back when it was called U.S. Customs. Of course, now you know it as ICE. And I got my first post of duty in Galveston, Texas.
Wow.
And I went home to my then wife and said to her, guess what? I got the job and we're going to Galveston. And she said, maybe you're going to Galveston, but me and the kids aren't. So, we had to let that one slide. And as it turned out, about 3 or 4 months later, the Secret Service came through. And I thought that was a joke. I said, I'll never get this job. There were only about 900 guys in the entire country at the time. And they were looking for people who spoke a foreign language, and they had a very high regard for teachers. So here I am.
What languages do you speak?
Just Spanish. That was my major in college, and that's what that's what I taught. And for Jim Smith, I had 1 year out of college, Jimmy, at Mount Pleasant Junior, teaching 8th grade Spanish and English. Lasted 1 year at Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I started my teaching career in Livingston, at Mount Pleasant Junior High. I was there for I was there
Paula,
for.
didn't you go to Mount Pleasant? Paula?
I went to Mount Pleasant, yeah.
Yeah, you went to Mount Pleasant.
Me too.
I think the
Right.
most important thing, I have to give Drew a lot of credit because Drew has got a memory like a trap. He knows everything that happened in high school and can basically quote it chapter and verse. And I've got a hazy memory of what went on. I just know, I think I really invented the word nerd in those days, you know. But Drew, you're not going to comment on that at all?
I never left. I never left. I'm still at the high school. I never left.
Right.
I never grew up.
That's nice.
Good thing.
Councilman Cashman, what do you have to say?
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. It is such a joy. I mean, Barbara Fulmer, I don't remember life before Amy Allen.
I'm looking for him.
That's the thing. I'm quite sure I kept George Pantos's family alive, eating burgers at Todd's. It was just such a treat. So yeah, my name is Paul Cashman. In high school, my name was Larry Bagoon. Larry lived around the corner. So I've been in Denver since actually Halloween night of 1971. Still in touch with most closely with Don Preziosi, Randy Crawford, and David Bosworth. And they're all alive and well. And David, a professor at the University of Washington. Don has been selling antique postcards out of Mendon, Jersey for decades.
Oh,
After a few years in New York advertising. Randy's a preservation architect in Syracuse, New York. I've published a community newspaper in Denver for 36 years, kind of South Denver's version of West Essex Tribune. I sold that in 2014, and I'm in my second 4-year term on the Denver City Council, which is, it's in a pretty amazing time to be in government at any level. It's really, it's people are so upset right now between the pandemic and everything else. So many people struggling. It really is heartbreaking. I've been married 3 times, currently single. I have a blended group of 5 kids, ranging from Juneau, Alaska to Atlanta. Well, actually, I have a stepson in Germany. I have two of my kids here in the Denver area with 4 grandchildren. And so it's a blessing to get to see them quite a bit. You know, I've generally have been back to Jersey since the 20th reunion. Every 5 years, generally stay at Preziosi's, and Bosworth and Crawford come down, and we have our little confab around the table. But I've had a chance to, you know, see Buzz Mathesius and Commando before he left the country, and Barry Zemelsky, and you know, the Kennedy assassination stories. I was in study hall sitting next to Barry, and I forget which teacher announced it, and Barry started laughing. And I said, Barry, what are you laughing about? And he said, Lyndon Johnson's going to be president. But that was an interesting take on a very tragic situation. But the last thing I will say, I'm so grateful for Facebook. Facebook gets, I mean, yeah, you can waste a lot of time, but which you can. But I mean, there are some of you here that I wasn't that close to in high school, but I've gotten to know you better on Facebook. And I always tell people my real score on Facebook is to have reconnected with Bob Petito. You know, and what is Bob's, what about, is he 80?
He's not, I think he just
90.
turned 90.
Right,
John's-
he's-
turned
Yeah,
90. Oh,
so he turned
Yeah.
90.
He's 90 now, Phil.
So, you know,
90.
he was not an old man when he was our teacher.
No.
You know? And so it's just a joy, and it's a pleasure to see all of you. And I'll just echo thanks to Jim for putting this together. Drew, you are a freaking rock star.
Yeah.
Right.
Paula as well. And I really appreciate what you guys do. So thanks, and wonderful to see everybody. And Amy, I
Okay.
forgive you.
I have a question for Paul.
Which time?
Amy
have
and
a
I have
question.
interesting political discussions.
Paul,
Paula,
Paul, do
I
you
thought it
see?
was from when I
Larry
gave you a black eye when we were kindergarten age.
yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Paul, do you see Larry Bagoon at all?
You know, generally when we come get together one night, Don will have some folks over for dinner. And yeah, I mean, Larry's Larry.
I know.
He hasn't changed. He's still the
Nope.
funniest human being in the world. He's a wonderful guy. He really is. Just
I think that it's his daughter that's on Facebook.
it's his no, it's his sister Jerry, his younger sister Jerry.
Yes.
You bet.
Okay.
You bet. She was a teacher for years and years. Larry and his older brother Paul took over. I don't know. Some of you might remember his dad.
Mattress.
His dad had a company called Night of Rest. That sold mattresses and so on.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, the one story I'll throw in about his father was just funny man. And they had this old beat up station wagon that they would use to make local mattress deliveries. And they were going, I think, out to Boonton, somewhere out in the sticks in Jersey, delivering some mattresses. And they picked up a hitchhiker, and the kid made some comment about the condition of their car. And Mr. Bagoon took him like 100 miles past where he wanted to go. And kicked him out of the car. So yeah, I cede the floor.
Well, no, I have a question, Paul.
What, Paula?
I think it was 6th grade. Bowling with Kathy Morganroth,
I'm sure.
you, and there was somebody else there. Do you remember who it was?
I don't remember 6th grade. I spent a lot of time at the bowling alleys. I really did.
Okay.
Yes, and that was a whole lot of fun.
Okay.
Paul, I have to tell you, one of my all-time favorites is you showing up at Preziosi's house in your costume
Oh, right.
and knocking on the door. Yeah, that is fantastic. That's a classic.
For some of you who didn't see it, Don and I were close friends, still are, and I wanted to celebrate his 70th birthday with him, so I put on a Dia de los
Oh, right,
That was
right.
That was
Yeah.
so super. That still makes me
It was
laugh.
just coincidentally, his son was there and captured it on his phone, so
What was the
that
costume?
was huge fun.
What costume was it?
I just put a Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead.
Oh,
mask. You know, so there you go.
Classic. Awesome. Okay, anybody else?
I'll go.
We have,
Are we
I
listening?
it got quiet all of a sudden.
Come on, somebody say something.
Okay,
I'll go.
this is Jeff. This is Jeff Kopic. I'm going.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, you know, some other people mentioned this. In high school, I wasn't very social. You know, I had a little bit of a crowd. Kenny Mayer, I saw your face. I said, "Wow, Kenny, I completely forgot about you, man." And I said, "Oh yeah, Kenny lived around the corner from me." You know, but my career, you know, I listen to some of these careers, I think, wow. And like, I spent let's see, I got out of high school. I went into the Air Force briefly. The draft board called and I said, I'm going to go down and join the Air Force. And I was in the Air Force for a couple of years, and then I got out and I got married really young. My first wife was a Polish proposal. You're what? And so we had 2 kids. We lasted about 5 years, broke up for a year, and then lasted for another couple more. And we finally divorced again. So I had 2 kids. I have one of whom just got out of the military. He was a lifer, which is kind of funny because I was discharged from the Air Force as being unadaptable to the military.
Bravo, good for you.
And so it's kind of ironic, I guess, that my son was a lifer in the Army. And then I have a daughter who is a successful artist in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Like everybody else, I have a stepdaughter. My second wife and I, we've been together now for 30-something years. We met up here in New Hampshire, where I moved 73, I think, 73. I spent a long time where the place I moved to in New Hampshire had been my grandfather's summer camp, and I turned it into a year-round house. The first few years, we didn't have insulation. I had a little tiny wood stove. That back when I was young and foolish, that's okay. Who cares if the inside temperature is 40 degrees? Camping indoors, but I survived that. And for my work career was pretty erratic. I when I got out of the Air Force, I spent 4.5 years or so. I was at Turtleback Zoo as a zookeeper, where my older brother actually worked too. And it was kind of a fun job, actually.
Was your older brother Greg? Is your brother
Yes.
Greg?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I dated him.
Did you really?
Yes, weirdly.
Well, Greg,
He was one of
just,
2 people I dated in high school.
Yeah, Greg just passed just a couple of
Oh.
about 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
He had Parkinson's disease, and
Aw.
it was just getting pretty bad. And he finally, it just got to the point where he had decided he had enough, and so he basically stopped eating and drinking, and he passed away pretty peacefully, and it was a relief when he finally died. My younger brother drank himself to death. And
Wow.
But my work career, was kind of interesting. After the zoo, I went and drove around the country trying to figure out where I was going to live, and that's how I ended up in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, I did all sorts of stuff. I worked various construction jobs. Somewhere in the 80s, after carousing around and raising hell, I got myself sober, which was kind of comical because at that point I became a bartender. I did that for a couple of years. And then I went to the 25th high school reunion, and I have a question for people, if anybody knows whatever happened what's up with Jack Carpenter, because I ran into Jack at the 25th high school reunion and spent most of the night talking with him because he was an LPN. He worked as a nurse, and I was really kind of, I thought, he's the last guy in the world that would have ever thought of being a nurse. And when I got done with that, I told my current wife, Karen, I says, I'm going to go, that sounds like a really interesting profession. I think I'm going to do that. And so, I went back to school for, I don't know how many times I've been in school before, but I've dropped out of at least 3 colleges. I became a registered nurse, and I did that for 20 years.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun. I ended up actually, Bill DePato, I wish I'd known you were out in Olympia because I was in Everett, Washington for 15 years.
Yeah, it's only been 6 years though.
But So I did that and ended up in retiring from the hospital that I was an administrative supervisor for 10 years at in Everett, Washington, huge 500-bed hospital. I have some friends still there, and this whole COVID thing is just,
Wow.
it's a nightmare for places out there. That particular hospital it's a catch-all for a huge area. So they're just up to their ears there. So I'm kind of glad I retired when I did. So now I'm living came back here to New Hampshire, to Enfield, New Hampshire. I live in a community called Eastman, which is a kind of a self-contained little part of New Hampshire that was founded on the basis of trying to keep it, I don't know if natural is the proper word, but they try to keep the place from getting overgrown. And someone mentioned living in Amy, you mentioned living on a place with dirt roads. Well, I live on a dirt road,
Right.
and I can't see my neighbors around my house.
Right.
Have all kinds of lovely little wild critters coming through. We had a bear come through about 2 weeks ago, and
Oh my goodness.
everything.
Wow.
My wife won't go out in the dark because she's afraid the bear's going to be out.
Don't blame her.
Yeah, I said, yeah, they'll run away.
Oh, man.
We did have one last year who came and sat in our driveway. We could look out the window and he sat down there licking up all the birdseed. He wouldn't leave until he was done. I'm eating, don't bother me. But that's my life. I'm enjoying, we're in this nice little community, and someone talked, I guess it was Paul said, Facebook is just a great thing. It's like there are people like Jim, I've connected with, and I didn't know that well in high school. Bob Lowy, who was another one who I reconnected with, and I was kind of hoping he'd show up here, but so it's fun to see you guys, and some of you, like I didn't know many of you very well in high school, but it's neat to hear what's going on with everybody, and it's like everybody else said, it's just this is just a cool way to connect. The technology that allows us to do
Great.
phenomenal.
Hey, Jim?
So everybody stay well. Keep your masks
You
on.
too, Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, did you live on Cliffside Drive? Can we ask you a question? Did you live on Cliffside Drive?
No, I lived on White Oak, just below Cliffside. White Oak ran
Okay.
up. White Oak paralleled Cliffside.
Because I know we rode the same school bus, I think.
Yeah, we probably very likely. Did you catch it down like Bryant Drive used to go up Bryant Drive? And
I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim? Jeff, you and Drew and I. Just a quick commercial announcement here, real quick. We had 29 people. We're down to 27. Just a quick favor, could everybody send myself and Paula just to make sure we have current email addresses and how to get a hold of you, your current email address, if you want, your phone number, and if you can, a friend, high school classmate who will always know how to get a hold of you, because we want to make sure we maintain communications with everybody. And if we lose you on Facebook or emails, there's no forwarding for email, so we'll lose ability. We had 29 to start. We're down to 27. So when this is all over, if everybody could email me, I think you have my email address, and Paula, or one or more of us, and just so we can make sure I'd like to also keep track of who was here tonight, so we can let everybody else know who they missed seeing, that those who didn't get on. So just a quick commercial announcement. I'll let you go back to normal programming.
Now a message from our sponsors.
Andrew, I took a screenshot of everybody.
Oh, thank you. Did you get both pages?
Yeah, I don't lost the other two, but I just screenshot everything. I'll send it over to you.
Well, some people are using acronyms. So there's someone ATS or something, and I'm not recognizing some of the names. I have let's see, I can recognize most people, but there's somebody didn't use their real name, so I don't think they're on anymore. I don't know who that was.
But anyhow,
Yeah,
just to help.
I've been changing people's names also, Drew.
Oh, right.
I changed, Greg Dickey is no longer,
Sandra.
I'm no longer,
You're
What?
no longer Sandra.
oh, yeah.
Oh.
yeah, right.
There we go.
It's Greg Dickey now.
Yeah, your
I
name-
have
now you're
a
Greg Dickey.
question.
There he is.
Recognize that name.
I have a
Go
question.
ahead, Barb.
Is
Barb.
everybody here tonight on Facebook?
No,
No.
I'm
no.
not very
Yes.
much.
Yes.
I mean, if they tell me I have a notification, I go. But I
Okay.
really honestly never figured out how to use it effectively. And
Okay.
I feel like it's too hard. to just-
No, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Not hard.
There's so much.
It's
to
so
do in life.
easy.
But you know, it's like, I don't want to spend that much
Exactly.
of my life
Spend a lot of time,
engaged
yeah.
in the kind of socializing that happens. I mean, mind you, I'm very respectful of it. And I think it's very valuable and important, but I feel like I have to kind of keep a boundary to keep myself healthy. I don't know if you guys feel like that, but I do.
Yes.
So, I mean, on the other hand, if it would be nice, I want to be nice. I would hook up with the Facebook, what is it? LHS.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
There's a Facebook thing for this class. Is that right?
Yes.
LHS 65. That's what it
Yeah.
is called.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll
And
tune in. I'll tune
Email Drew and he'll
Okay.
Exactly.
get you
Yes.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't know if you can see your chat messages on your screens, but Dave Goebel wrote a little message to everyone. Hey, folks, I have to run. It's wonderful to see you all. I will be back the next time we do this. Being part of the LHS class of 65 was one of the great thrills of my life. And that's a man who graduated from the Citadel, was the president of our class,
Right.
and spent a lifetime in service to this country in the U.S. Marines. So.
Oh, really? I
I'm sure
didn't know
everybody-
that.
Yeah.
What was he?
Mhm.
What did he do?
Really?
Dave was a Marine.
Ah,
Yeah.
Was that his
Yeah.
career?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he actually
Oh,
retired
I
from the
didn't know.
Marines as he was the head librarian at the Citadel after
wow.
active duty. So
That's why I like hearing what everybody's doing or what their professions
Yeah.
were. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
I think Dave was actually state librarian in North Carolina or South Carolina for a year or two before the Citadel.
yeah, South Carolina. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a diverse group, to say the least.
I'll say.
And
Yeah.
I think that it's probably one of the things that I'm proudest of, you know, thinking back on it 55, 56 years ago, when we were all naive and really didn't know too much about what the world was all about, even though we thought we maybe knew all about it.
Yep.
But we were fortunate enough to grow up in a community that was just a wonderful place to grow up. And we also were fortunate enough to go to a school system that was staffed by some marvelous people. And it took me a lot of years to recognize that. But as I said, Bob Petito is one of my mentors. I love the man with all my heart. He gave me a lot of direction when I needed it most. So who haven't we heard from yet?
Well, this might be,
I
might be a good time for me to jump in, guys, because, you know, let me jump in here, Jim, because really, you know, I'm
Yeah,
listening
go
to you all, and I'm so impressed that we're all together. And let me say this, I'm probably the most boring guy on this call because I never left Livingston. I'm still here. I never
not
left.
far away.
And
Wow.
when what Jim just said, I have to echo it in spades because, you know, my three kids, they wound up going to private school. My son ultimately graduated from Livingston High, but my two girls went privately, but they still grew up in this town, Jim. And to your point, right on the money. I mean, there is no reason why, you know, I've been here my entire life. And I look at all you fine people, my classmates, and we're coast to coast. And here's good old George sitting in, 10 Edgemere Road, Livingston. And I'm saying to myself, why is that? And it was like what you said earlier, Jim, about, the idea of, those 90 seconds of remembrances of our experiences. Well, hell with that, man. I need 90 years. I need a long, long time.
But it's not a bad place to be.
No, it's actually just, and Paul, you mentioned it earlier. It must be difficult being in government. I can only sympathize with you and others who are in public service. But let me say this, we're holding it together here in town, guys and gals. We really are. It's still the town you remember. I really mean it. It's community. There's caring for each other. Facilities are tremendous. The schools have, of course, they've changed. You wouldn't believe the high school. I mean, it's exploded. It's gigantic now, but it's all still high quality stuff and very community oriented. And it's a safe place to be. I really mean that.
Yeah.
It's safe. And I think what kept me here all these years was my family business, as Paul also mentioned, Todd's, which my parents, God rest them, retired from years ago now. But I stayed, and my life brought me where it brought me. And after Seton Hall, I went down to Tulane for my master's degree. Came back up here. I wound up teaching up St. E's up in Common Station. Then got recruited to go to corporate out of there, and then spent a full year at corporate. Remember Lucid Technologies? I remember those guys.
Yeah. Lucid, yeah.
Director of Marketing Communications and PR for them. And then retired from them, and then got too young to do nothing, as most of us are here. We talk about someone still working. Went and taught in an academy, a high school academy in Patterson. Don Bosco, have you ever heard of? I'm sure you've heard of Don. And retired finally from them too. So now it's we said before about retirement. Interesting life to be retired. But back to the family. Got 3 kids. My eldest is with, you may have heard of the company, it's called Google.
Yeah, I think I've heard.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Heard of them? He's a director of security and what else does she do? Security and privacy and security. She's got a couple of offices out in Mountain View and in San Fran. So she's out that direction. My middle one is a charter school art director for a system of charter schools in Brooklyn. I think there's 3 or 4 schools they have. And she's the art director for that. And my son, Jake, the Livingston High School graduate, was a teacher. And was it Greg? Were you in Clifton's system, Greg?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
He taught history there for a year or so at the high school.
In Clifton High?
Yeah, Jake Pantos. Jake, is my son.
Can you remember what year? Because that place is a monster.
I know you probably didn't run into him, but then he decided that was not for him. And now he's working, believe it or not, he's working retail. He's one of the managers at the new Wegmans up in Whippany. Wegmans opened up a new store up there, and Jake is on their management team. So no grandkids. My eldest is married. She was in England for 13 years with Google, married a Brit, brought him home. And they have a very nice 50-acre horse ranch out in Vacaville area in California. He's with Apple. So very highly high tech at that level of my family. And someone mentioned Facebook earlier. So was it Sally mentioned Facebook earlier? Sam, my son-in-law, was with them was Facebook for about a year, but he said he didn't like it. So that's when he went over to Apple. So maybe you're right, not liking Facebook. I don't know. I shouldn't say. But,
not that I don't like it.
So no, give it a chance. Give it a chance. I think you will.
I will.
So family wise, we're doing great. My wife Mary, we have been married 41 years. So we talk about longevity of marriage. It's not a myth. It can happen.
Yep.
Not to some, but to me. I don't much be jealous. All you guys with all the marriages. I don't know. I'm jealous. But all kidding aside, it's been good, and I cannot complain. And again, tip of the hat, tremendous tip of the hat to Paula, Jim, Drew. You guys are just phenomenal. That you've hung us together, and I'm going to agree with everybody. This is the time to be a community. It truly is. And it's an honor, that we have thought about so much about each other to take this time out of our diverse lives, if you will, to come back together and share. I think it's fabulous. It's fabulous.
Agreed.
It's
Thank you.
a great testament to not only us as individuals, but I believe in our upbringing and this town. And what this
Yes.
town, engendered in us as we
Yep.
go into our lives. So great seeing you all. And
Certainly
we do this
nothing
again,
to
right?
apologize. Certainly nothing to apologize for sticking to Livingston, because it's a great place.
Not
know,
at all.
I
Yes.
wanted to share with Sally one reason why it's really fun to be on Facebook. I posted something on Facebook a couple of years ago, and to a cousin of mine who was just getting married to a woman who lived in Vermont, and I get an email back from Jim Smith. And then I get an email from my cousin saying, how the heck do you two people know each other? That my cousin was marrying Jim's daughter-in-law. No, Jim's son's wife. No. Well, how did it go?
My son,
It was Emma's sister is married to Jim's son. So we're at a wedding
my
in
son's,
Vermont, and I am taking pictures with Jim's son, who I met because of Facebook. So that's why it's a good thing to do.
You never know.
It can
You
be
never
done,
know.
It's like
but
6
there are
degrees
times when
of
it's just really
separation.
funny.
Right.
Only it's not even 6.
No.
In some cases.
So, so I'll go on. Judy Sacken. I was only at Livingston for 2 years. I got there my junior year. My parents didn't make me start the very first day of school. I got the option of going in a couple of days late, so I wouldn't just be walking in the first day of school to 458 people that I had no clue who they were and trying to break in. My mother and Bernice Spicer's mother were good friends.
Oh.
So Bernice took me under her wing and introduced me to a bunch of people, and that was my introduction. I got out of school.
Bernice and I send each other things.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I got out of school. I went to college. I graduated from college, moved to Washington, D.C. area. We were in Northern Virginia. Taught for a couple of years, left teaching, was able to stay at home, raised 3 kids, did a lot of volunteering, always with kids. I would read to children and help them with homework in homeless shelters. Then I divorced, was divorced for a number of years, worked at a TV station, a public TV station here in the DC area, and then left and went to Goodwill Industries, where I negotiated leases and opened up new stores. I was there for 19 years. In that time, I met somebody. I was remarried. We now have together 5 kids, all married. We have 9 grandchildren. I am very involved with Make-A-Wish in this area. We do a lot of traveling. I retired about 6 years ago. We do a lot of traveling. And I am eternally grateful for Facebook and being able to connect and see what people are doing, how they're living and what their experiences are. I was very saddened recently to hear of Bruce's death. For some reason, that just really got me. I mean, we've lost a lot, but for some reason, that one got me. I am eager to hear from. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. That's terrible. I'm eager to hear how the mothers of one of my friends, and I'm sorry, I just completely lost her name. It's Linda, of course. It's Linda Pickard. I'm curious to see how Linda's mother's doing.
Yes.
That's so sweet.
And I'm grateful for Jim and Drew and Paula, who have just kept us together. So yay for all of you.
Where do you live?
all
That
well.
is so sweet, Judy. My mom is 94
God bless.
in Daughters of Israel in West Orange, New Jersey. I was visiting her every single day and my daughter also until March when they stopped us. And recently she got COVID. My mother's a very strong woman and she seems to be definitely rallying. She has some deficit, but they think that they can work with her and get it back. But she's definitely getting better and she's on the mend.
Glad to hear that.
She's
Good.
getting through that. All right. While I have the floor, I'll tell you about myself. I'm not very interesting, but I have 3 children. I have identical twin daughters who are 45. Both are married. One of them has a senior in Livingston High School and a son in 4th grade at Mount Pleasant. And the other one has dogs. And then I have a son also who's 40. I've taught a lot of different levels of music through my career. And most recently, for 31 years, I've been teaching it was the Children's Institute. It's now Spectrum 360. It's a special ed school for autistic and behavior disorder students. I teach music and I put on shows and I do a lot of things with these kids. They love music.
And she won an award, last year, the year before?
Last year.
Over all the teachers all over the US. So congratulations, Linda. Tell about that.
Oh, do I have to? Okay, that was for innovative programming and leadership. And I went to San Antonio to get my award. It was really very thrilling. Unfortunately, right after that, my husband passed away. We were married 44 years. And I'm still teaching. I'm teaching remotely from home.
Wow.
It's hard to teach music remotely from home.
How do you do that?
Very difficultly.
Wow.
So
What level do you teach, Linda?
I teach preschool through age 21. It's a special ed school.
For you.
Special nonprofit special ed school.
This is tough.
Linda, are you considered a music therapist?
No, I'm a music educator.
Okay.
My degree is music education.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I have to adapt my program, but I'm a music educator. My degree is music. I also have my master's in special ed.
Wonderful.
And back in high school, you were in competition with your piano playing. She was an accomplished pianist who won awards left and right and all over.
She's my biggest fan. And Renee and I are definitely still in touch with each other. As a matter of fact, I posted a picture today on Facebook of Renee at my Thanksgiving. What was it, 5 years ago, 4 years ago?
5 years ago, yeah, that was great.
Well,
Linda
Renee,
goes all out. Everything was turkeys. I mean, from the floor to the ceiling, I was just like, turkey, turkey, turkey. A true teacher. I mean, craftsmanship.
Renee, you've won a number of awards yourself, haven't you?
Yes,
And
she
this is coming
has.
from a
Yes.
This is coming from a person who said that she wasn't a very interesting person. Is that what I heard you say?
And very humble. Very humble.
I did say that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you know,
Wrongly
the
said.
funny thing is, the funny thing for me is that there are so many times. Judy just told the story about her cousin and my son's sister-in-law.
Who's
You know, we had
talking?
not seen each other.
Jim
I'm
is.
talking.
Jim.
Oh, and
Yeah.
my son had you as a teacher.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna mention that your son, Eddie, he has one of the best senses of humor of any kid that I ever had in the classroom. I had more fun with that kid than probably the average teacher should have. We laughed so hard. He was a student in my television production class, and
I enjoyed your class.
he's a really good kid. And I'm so glad to see you, Linda. And tell Eddie I said hey, okay?
I will do that. I will do that.
Okay.
Hey,
So-
Jim,
Renee, what?
Where do people
Yeah,
live?
Barb, go ahead.
Linda, where do you live? Do you live in the same town as Renee?
No, I'm in New Jersey. I live in West Orange right now in a
West
townhome,
Orange.
the Highlands of West Orange.
Okay, and where do you live, Renee?
I'm in Boynton Beach, Florida. South Florida.
And Judy, where do you live?
I'm in Fairfax, Virginia.
Oh, goodness.
And Jim, where are you?
I'm in Vermont right now. I'm in the house that my son and I built. Judy's cousin's relationship, her cousin and my son's sister-in-law. That's the connection there. Well, my son is a timber framer up here in Vermont. And he and I built this house. This is a timber frame construction. It's our second home. And
Where in
our other
Vermont?
home is-
Gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I went to visit
Yeah.
you last year. Thank
Yeah,
God
right.
I went when I did. And I met your family and your gorgeous house. And thank you for
Yeah.
posting in Facebook all the different improvements you've been making. The patio.
Yeah,
and
it's
the-
been-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock
It's been
wall.
a labor of love. It's just about done. We did a lot of work outside before the winter set in, and we still have a barn to build and some landscaping, but it's taken about 7 or 8 years to get to where it is right now. But it's really it's a great retreat. It's a great place to come to,
Where in Vermont?
especially since our home is in Fort Myers, Florida, where I call Florida the COVID capital of the nation. It's like the COVID petri dish.
Oh, wow.
Jim, it's like we call
It's
my
not really that bad. But
my sister
when you
lives
think
down
about
Stop
the numbers up
bragging.
here in Vermont.
Hey,
my
Jim.
sister lives there. We call it the Banana
Yes.
Republic.
Jim, I'm gonna have to go. I want to thank you and Drew and Paula for doing this. This was so much fun. It was great seeing everybody, and I hope you'll do it again.
We'll see you on
Bye, Barbara.
Facebook.
Barb.
See you on Facebook.
See you on Facebook.
Bye.
Jim,
See you, Barb.
Jim,
Take care. Talk to you soon.
Jim Syra.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I have to go in around 15 minutes. I have family coming over, if you don't mind.
okay.
I'm sorry, this is a great discussion. I'm Ira Yellen. I'm up in also New Englander. Well, never originally Brooklyn and Livingston, then New England, where I met my wife, 40 years, Gail, an Irish lass. I really appreciate this. It's not just reminiscing. I mentioned to Drew and to Jim that in a funny way, I never felt so close to the class because I had a trauma in 10th grade. That's when my father died. Many of you were very kind to me. I was the only one in the class that actually lost a parent. And it really, changed my life around a lot because my father was like the backbone of the whole family, extended family. But a lot of you were there, and I probably touched you one way or another going to class. And I was pretty close with Art Freeman and Jerry Porter, if you remember him, and Heidi and a lot of younger classmates. My sister was in high school. This is context. I live right down the street from Sally. I don't know if she remembers.
Of
Sand,
course.
we used to walk to school. I only went to 2 schools my whole life, Hillside School and the
Yeah.
high school, which
Yeah.
at that time was a junior high school.
Right.
But then you go when it was a junior high school.
Yeah.
And my sister was the last one to go in there, and they kept us separated from the bigger guys.
Yeah.
And one thing I've been trying to find out is that, Sally, I don't know if you remember, did you went to Hillside School?
Of course. Well, I
remember
came
the-
from Manhattan. I lived
Remember
in
they planted a time capsule?
Manhattan. What?
You remember when they planted the time capsule? Brenda, you went to Hillside School?
Time
I
capsule.
did. I was in your class, Ira.
That's right. Do you remember, Joan? Do you remember the time capsule we did by the flagpole?
What grade? Sixth grade or something?
Oh,
It's around fourth or fifth
vaguely,
grade.
vaguely.
And
Yeah.
we put things in from our class, and I've been trying to get it so they lift it, because that was almost 70 years ago, 65 years ago. Anyway, it's a sidebar, because the funny thing I remember, and I literally walked to school there, so my whole life was walking to school, and those two schools, right? And Sally was right down the street, and I remember you were very, my mother just said, you got to know to get Sally because she's very smart.
How nice.
Anyway, I just wanted to just instead of doing my kind of resume, I just want to kind of go backwards here. I'm still working. I actually have two businesses, and my wife, she's in the fashion business. She designs garments for people, and she has 150,000 customers around the world. So as they're late in her life, she's been very successful. And currently what I'm doing, I'm working with the governor of the state of Connecticut, the commissioner of education, and the superintendents who are dealing with COVID and parent communication. It's a huge project. And I'm sure all of you are aware of it, but it's every day dealing with the big breakouts and how we're going to educate our children, your grandchildren. And it's something to just be aware of. That we're trying to work that all the way through in terms of how do you deal with it. The other thing, I'm looking at future clients of mine. I have an online site called Aging in Place Toolkit, which helps multi-generational family caregivers who are trying to make plans for themselves. Now that many families are living together, it's changed the whole environment around. So those are the areas I've been pretty active in. But going back to high school, the things I remember most is many of us, there was that went on. I don't know if any remember what we protested, Paul Cashman? Do you remember? We made us wear shirts that were
Yes. Are you talking about
we had to wear band line. We wore band line and we protested.
We had a dress
I don't know
code.
if you all remember
That's
that.
dress code.
Dress
The
code
dress
rally?
code.
The
And
dress
remember,
code rally.
who used to call Crater Face Hurley? He was the enforcer.
Yeah.
And they could get out attentions to all of us.
Forgive me, but I'm walking out the door of my neighbors.
One day of band line shirts. And I remember that. That protest.
Yeah, look at her.
Hi, Greg.
It's like we have visitors. So I just want to kind of remember those things. And in terms of what it means is that I remember playing hooky. I remember Heidi Smolin, which was one of the,
Yes.
I stay in touch with her. Some of you are in touch with her. You see her on Facebook. I try to get her involved with it. She's out in California and has been through several tragedies herself. Anyway, she played hooky with me one day because I was deciding to go to Pratt or some other school, Pratt, to study architecture in New York City. So we played hooky and I wasn't sure I was going to go there. So we got on, remember the decamp bus?
Oh, yes.
I wanted to go to took the decamp bus. And so we went in there and we took the subway out to Pratt. Pratt was in Brooklyn. And I took the tour and I was coming back and Heidi said, you really should go there. It fits your personality. And because I was not sure. And so there's a fellow classmate was able to see into my future. And I never regretted that. That kind of planned my life going forward in terms of design and dealing in the areas of healthcare and education. So I do remember the impacts from many of you. And it's interesting because I remember more of my high school than what I did yesterday. And so I think a lot of us kind of go through some of that. So I just wanted to say that I look at it as being grateful. My father was an immigrant from Poland, and we were the first family to leave Brooklyn. And he picked Livingston in 1952. It was a brand new development right now Hillside School. And he said, I want you to grow up in a neighborhood that's diverse. At that time, it's diverse. So we had people from all around, and not just, we only had one Jewish neighbor. And he said, this is the way America is, and you growing up this way and experience this. So he was a futurist. He saw it. He was in the Army Corps of Engineer. He was actually in Holocaust camps in Poland, where he came from. And so I always remember that. I remember what our parents and the legacy they leave. And somehow we are now the legacy and we are the future. So I think all of you represent the better part of all that, than what our parents kind of gave us. So what I wanted to do is saying, I appreciate staying in touch like this. And I remember the 60 or 70 aren't with us anymore. Some of my good friends that passed on. And I appreciate Drew and Jim keeping us in touch. having these touchstones has added a lot more value to my life. And so I just wanted to thank you for doing this.
You're here.
Thanks, Ira. You know, I spoke to Heidi on the phone just this afternoon. We keep in touch pretty regularly, and I know you're in touch with her also. And Heidi was my lifeline in high school. We were in the same homeroom for 4 years. She sat directly in back of me. And I was not the most secure individual in high school. I really did not have a great self-image at all. And there were days when I just did not want to be there. I dreaded the thought of walking in those doors. And I would walk in the homeroom and there would be Heidi. And every day I was met with a smile and some kind of conversation from Heidi. For some reason, after that, it didn't make any difference. I managed to get through the door. So, you know, 60 years later, I'm still indebted to her for that simple act of kindness in the homeroom every day.
Yeah.
So she's great. She's a great gal. Really.
I second it. And I know we had, what do we remember in our senior class? We had 5 queen, what do they used to call them? I know it's in the yearbook, Jim. We had
Campus Queens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was one of the finalists and stuff. And I can't remember who was selected on that one, but you know, it's funny looking back and seeing the experiences and the types of, all of us and representing it. And I think all of us, I remember we all got our license, almost the same time. And, and was, I remember even our family business was in Montclair. And when I got my license, I would drive my mother all the way over there and then drive back so I can have the car. They remember these little things. We never think today about having a car. What was that like? And we all went to Morristown to do the K turn. And,
Yes, the famous Morristown K-turn.
Right.
It's one of these back roads. So anyway, I call that reminiscing. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Good to hear from you, Ira.
Thanks. Sorry, I have
Okay.
to go. My relatives from out of town, and we have a bunch come over, believe it or not, and all wearing masks. So thank you, and love to keep doing this, and appreciate it. I took some notes here, and I sent the photographs around to Drew to share with everybody.
Good, and I did record this, by the way, Ira. Once we settled down and started getting serious, I started a recording of it. So I do have that on cloud right now.
Well, thank you.
Safe, Ira.
Good to see you, Ira.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll do it again.
Thank you. Stay well. Stay well.
Take care.
Ira, if you come to Florida again, let me know.
Yeah, Renee, I've seen down in Florida with Art Friedman. So
Yeah, we had a nice little mini reunion a number of years ago. Yeah.
yeah, I know. Well, hey, you still look the same.
You see Art Friedman? You see Art Friedman?
Yeah,
Ira?
I stay in touch with him.
I hear from him once in a while.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not on. Usually he's very active.
Renee, how you doing? How's Art Friedman today? I mean,
He's doing fine. He
lives
lives
in
Delray. He lives in Delray, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
He used to live right behind me.
Yeah, not too far from Paula, I think.
Right. And I keep in touch with Art also. We exchange emails very frequently, sometimes every day. And we chat and we keep in touch on Facebook. Art's doing very well.
Yeah, he is. He's retired. I haven't learned that one yet, but hopefully you guys are.
It's
take
wonderful.
Dr. Rubenfeld. Dr. Rubenfeld,
Yes, I thought you'd never ask.
how's the forensic expert witness these
Yeah,
days?
well, first let me apologize that I got an extra square. I think I have an extra square on the pictures because I'm using 2 different receivers here. I apologize.
Right, yeah.
First of all, I want to say that I was in a Livingston school system, so from 2nd grade to graduation. And many of you were close friends. Jimmy, I think you were in Miss Watson's class. Were you in 2nd grade with me?
Yes, sir.
We go all the way back. And a lot of you, I just feel like I feel like I've never, in some ways, I think about high school probably a lot more than I should. In other words, I just think back to the people I knew, and when I meet new people, I sort of can say, who is this guy in high school? It's very interesting because when I went to college, it's 4 years. I went to medical school. That was another 4 years. Then after medical school, I did 5 years of postgraduate training. So you have these quick relationships with people. But in high school, it was like you live with the people pretty much. And I feel very fortunate because I still have a very strong feeling about Livingston High School. Looking back at all of you, I know every one of you from if I wasn't a close friend, from passing in the hall, bumping into you, whatever. And geez, I just feel terrific. That commercial that ends with, they tell you what this costs, what that costs, and they sit and they say, priceless. I think this is priceless. And Jim and Drew and Paula, I want to thank you too for, just adding something to, I think, everybody's life. I see it in your eyes. Everybody really they're still Lancers, although I hate that word, but they're still Livingston people. And I think I meant it when I said, let's just stay on for the whole month because, it's just, there's not much else to do these days. And that's
It's in the
it.
voice, it's not in
I
the
guess I
eyes.
can say what I'm doing today. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, but I've evolved out of a clinical orthopedic practice into what they call a medical, legal, or forensic practice. So I'm an expert witness. But I'm so glad when I talk to you that nobody's going to cross-examine me. I think that's great. I have to be careful what I say in court because the lawyers are waiting to cut my throat. But and that's it. I feel very fortunate in life. I mean, I've had my ups and downs, like I'm sure we all have. My resume sounds very good, but there's been some real bumps in the road. And I think, hopefully I came out stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's what they say, right?
Right.
What they say.
The only other thing I can say about Paul Cashman, he gave me some very excellent advice 20 years ago at one of our reunions. I asked Paul, in the last 20 or 30 years, what's the most important thing you've learned? And he said to me, I'll tell you what it is. He said, everything goes with beige. And I've kept that close to my heart for many years. You don't remember that, do you, Paul? That was good advice,
I don't remember 20 years ago.
Really?
It's our own Confucius.
Yeah.
And David,
Somehow, Paul, I could see you saying that, though. Somehow I could see that coming out of your lips.
Yeah, definitely.
Could have happened. Very possible. Could have happened.
Dave, talk a little bit about your artwork, which is just.
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
I don't know if you remember, but when I was in high school, I was very interested in art. All the way back to like first grade, I was interested in art. And I was very fortunate that all through the years, even in medical school and residency, I took art classes at the Art Students League and the School of Visual Arts. And now I'm polluting Facebook with all my pictures. And a lot of you have seen them and made nice comments. I haven't had any insults in a long time, so it's a success.
You
David,
took
do you
art
remember
my mother,
David,
right?
Go ahead.
David,
I'm sorry.
do you remember the drawing marathons that you, Frankie Brescia, and I used to have?
I do. Jim, you wrote in my yearbook, you wrote, someday we got to get together on the Riviera and sketch up a storm or paint up a storm. Still waiting, Jim. But,
It sounds like a great idea to me.
I feel very
David?
fortunate I was able to do that. What?
David, you were
Yes.
you were a student of my mother's, right?
Yes, and she was an excellent teacher.
You took life drawing with her, or
I don't know if it was life drawing, but she was teaching at the YMHA in Livingston. And I did take a course. She was very sweet. She insulted me a lot, but that was okay. I expected that,
In a sweet way.
Very sweet lady.
That's great, David. And it's always great to see you. You're one of my oldest friends.
I have such a warm feeling now. I wish I could bottle it and take it with me, for the rest
We
of my
should all
life.
give each other group hugs.
well, we could theoretically do this every month, other month.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Right, then we'll know
Yeah,
what
this is the
everybody does and where they came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean,
It
I
was,
think in many ways, I feel closer to the people I was with in high school than I do with any other people I met in all those other, classes along the way. It was I don't know, everybody wasn't in for 10 years, but I was in it for 10 years. My neighbors, my friends, everybody. It's terrific. I feel very fortunate.
This is actually the second mini reunion, Zoom reunion. The first one I was supposed to run on this business account that I have. And the night before, my computer crashed. I had no computer. So Drew jumped right in there and opened the Zoom account and ran that meeting. I was not able to attend that one because of the computer difficulties. But yeah, we can do this. We've actually talked about doing this on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason why we can't do that. Attendance is not mandatory. It's always optional, but it's nice to know that there is that option there, that possibility.
And on that note, Jan, let me throw this in, guys. I think we're probably the only class who actually does this kind of thing, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I watch Facebook pretty carefully. You see, like, many of you are on the group. If you're from Livingston, I'm sure you're on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But as far as actual class pages, I think we're fairly unique.
Yeah, George, George, I noticed one from class of 71 is doing one too.
71, yeah,
You're right.
right.
It's either 70 or 71. I noticed it the other day.
That was in the, I get the Tribune, obviously, and that was in, I think one of their classmates in 71 passed, and there was an obit.
Yeah, maybe, might have been, yeah.
There was reference to that they did have some kind of, an online presence. But, overall, and I mean, really without, giving away too many secrets, I could ask my daughter to do a quick search on what kind of Facebook pages are out there from Livingston classes, which I won't do. But I'm just, the idea being that I do believe this is unique to us, or certainly we started it, if we're not the only one. And
We definitely are unique.
Let's make this regular.
We're definitely
I'm
unique.
connected with my graduating class from my college. Those women all talk on a regular basis for some years now. And it was kind of weird. I kind of jumped in kind of late because I took a leave of absence in the middle of college. So I graduated a year after the people that I came in with. So I didn't hook up with this listserv until more recently. But boy, what a bunch of cool women. Really remarkable, talented,
Great tool.
surprising. What?
I was just saying it's a very, very good tool. There's no doubt about it for and that's what intent is social connection, and it's great. Like we have a fraternity page. Of course, we got this. We've got other alumni pages I'm associated with. I'm sure we all do. And why not make it regular, folks? Make it quarterly.
I vote for that.
I think twice a day would be good.
Let's hear from some of the other people that we haven't heard from yet.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Nancy?
How about Ken?
What's going on?
Ken's been waving his hand.
Hi, everybody. Well, I don't know. Listening to all of you, I think I've had the boring life, but
Nancy, what's your last name?
My last name is Haslam now. Haslam.
But in high school, what was your name?
Feely.
Nancy Feely?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I was
Nancy Feely.
I was just talking to somebody the other day about one of your birthday parties where your mom had the most amazing games to play at your birthday party. It was completely different from anything we ever had. She had different logos, so artsy, different logos from different companies. And we had to say which company it was from. You don't remember that, do you?
I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, and I remember her having very classy bowls to serve all the food in. So
yeah,
just thinking about you.
Ceramics.
Yeah. So,
I remember sitting with you at lunch.
Yes, I remember.
In 7th and 8th grade. Yes.
All those years ago. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm retired now. I've made the leap. I moved to Connecticut 7 years ago. My son lives in Old Lyme with his wife, and more to the point, my 2 grandchildren. So I made the leap. It was just too long a drive from Morris County. So I've been living up here and just doing volunteer work with my church, food pantries, things like that. Love to garden. I have a tiny little house, but it's just all of that I need. And as everybody else was saying, I found not only that my memories of high school were very strong, but my education was wonderful. When I got to college, my chemistry class, I especially remember, was just a walk in the park after having Mrs. Cheslov, chicken legs Cheslov, you remember?
That's right.
Yep, yep.
It was just a piece of cake, and the things that we learned in high school, it served me very, very well. So
What did you do for work, Nancy?
I was a teacher.
Told you to stop.
Yeah, for 38 years. And I loved my job. I started in primary grade, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I taught gifted for 11 years, and I was certified in special ed then. So taught special ed and ended my career in middle school teaching 7th and 8th grade math, which was never my strongest subject, but it got to be after teaching it for many years. So it was a good job. I was happy that I could leave when I did, because it was getting to be not what it used to be. And it was more of a business than kids. So yeah, so I'm living the life. I live on the shoreline in Connecticut. I can see the Long Island Sound out of my sliders in my dining room. So I wake up every morning to that, and I'm grateful every day for all of that. So
You live in my old stomping grounds. When I was a licensed captain, I delivered boats up and down Long Island Sound and down along the coast, anywhere from Nantucket all the way down to the Lesser Antilles. So
wow,
I love that section of Long Island Sound.
Wow.
way
West Shore
more
of Long
interesting
Island.
than what I did. What I do.
That's Old Lyme's a pretty town. It's a very nice town. Karen, what's going on in your life these days?
What's going on is I'm really happy to see all of you. Sally, thank you very much for your comments earlier, because I think I related very much to that. And Jim, what you just said about not wanting to be in school on certain days. So I identified with both of your remarks, and thank you very much for that. After college, I was in the Army for 3 years. I did a tour in Vietnam. Came back, went to law school, worked on.
Thanks for your service, Ken.
Yeah, thanks for.
Thank you. Worked on Capitol Hill down in Washington for some Senate and House committees. Then worked on Tom Kaine's campaign for governor in 1981. He was elected, and I spent about 8 years working for him in his cabinet, different roles. Practiced law for a bunch of years. And then in 2000, I took over as president of a nonprofit foundation in New York. We worked with kids in New York City and Boston. And that's what I'm still doing. I have a couple of ex-wives. And the most interesting thing I'm going to say is that I'm in the process of getting back together with my first ex-wife. And Bruce has met her. Bruce met her about a year or so ago. So we'll see how that goes.
Good luck.
Hey, Jim, would you let Amy Allen just texted me, but could you let her back in to the
Oh,
Zoom?
yes. Yeah, thanks. Well, doing that right now. Thanks, Ken. That's really awesome. Susan, what's going on with you?
Hi, I'm Sue Briggs-Geckel, and I'm right now a couple blocks away from George because I too am in Livingston, have been back for 37 years. I was gone briefly after I got married to Bob Geckel from the class of 66. Some of you may remember. He passed away in 1983. So at that point, I came back to Livingston, raised my 2 boys with my parents and my in-laws helping out. So both my boys graduated from Livingston High School also, one in 95 and one in 2000. They are each married and each has a boy and a girl. So I have 4 grandchildren now. Originally, I taught for the first 7 years until I was able to stay home and raise Rob and John. When I came back to Livingston, I actually ended up back at the recreation department, which was my high school job and my college vacation job for about 6 years. Worked my way and ended up retiring as their office manager. So I was very involved with everything going on in town at that point. Retired at 60. And I've been doing a lot of volunteer work since then. I'm very involved at St. Barnabas, not right now, but very involved at St. Barnabas. Have been volunteering there for almost 15 years. Do a lot of work with my church. And the best thing probably is about almost 7 years ago now, my younger son and his wife bought a house on LBI in Barnegat Light, and they needed a caretaker because they're in the city. So I get to spend luxurious days on Long Beach Island for months and months of the year. And it is just the best place to be. But I'm not giving up my Livingston house yet. I'm not ready for that. So that's about the story. And again, I want to thank everybody who's been involved in getting this together. I was trying to get on the last one, but it didn't happen. But I'm very glad that I was able to make it onto this one.
Yeah. Sue, our paths crossed a few times over the years, I know. And
I guess when you and the kids were in school together,
right,
but I haven't seen you in years. So
yeah, it's been a while. Well, now we are.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Good to see you, Sue. I'm glad you
Good to see you, Susan.
Thank you. You too.
Bill DePoto, what's going on with you, man?
Hi there. Well, I'm retired, living in Washington State, a little south of Seattle. When I got out of high school, I went to Newark and studied engineering, and I got 2 degrees in engineering, mechanical and environmental. And in 1980, I moved to LA and lived in Pasadena that whole time. And I moved there to take a job with County of LA Public Works, where I stayed until I retired. And my focus was in water resources mostly. When I was down there, when I was in LA, yeah, I got interested. My interest in music flourished, let's say, and I joined a choir, community choir, in 1980, and I've been in choirs and singing ever since, and I love it. That's why I was asking Linda what she taught. Let's see. So, for instance, in '83, the group toured Europe, and we did like a 3-week tour through Europe, which is fascinating. My first time there. I've been back a few times since then, and I love going to Italy. Met up with some family there in 2012 near Salerno. It was fascinating. It was wonderful. What else? Back to music. I've been in some doo-wop groups, and I was hoping Barb Fulmer would still be here. Yeah. Been in 2 doo-wop groups. The first was called Biff and the Backups. We didn't take ourselves too seriously, and the current group is called. We tried to get a woman. It's 4 guys. We tried to get a woman in the group, and we were going to call ourselves Babe and the Boomers. Well, we just called ourselves Boomers. Yeah. And a little like Paul, not quite as involved as Paul Cashman, but for the last 4 years, I was a precinct captain, which was an elected position. So I ran for precinct captain where I live and made that. So I was involved in politics all the way up until election day. Yep. Yep. Good to see everybody, and thank you, Jim. I notice Drew left the session, but I wanted to thank him too for all you're doing. This is wonderful.
Yeah, Drew crashes right around 9 o'clock.
No,
I'm
my
very
fault.
tired, too. I'm
it's
gonna
only
have to
6
take a
o'clock
break.
here.
I'm very tired.
on the
I'm gonna
phone.
have to go to sleep.
Yeah, I was on the phone with Drew last night at about 5 to 9. And he said, well, I hate to cut this short, but I've got to go now. I have to go to sleep. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I want to say good night. I'm so sorry to
Okay,
leave
Sally.
before everybody's had a turn because I'm really interested in hearing from all of you. So I'm going to really try to do this adventurous thing called Facebook. So we'll have more contact. Okay. And I hope
You will definitely love it. You will love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope it doesn't suck me in.
See you
though.
on Facebook, Sally.
Okay, I'll try it. I've
Yeah.
been in another cult. I can be in the Facebook cult.
There you go.
Okay, well, good night, everybody. Be well.
Good
be
night.
safe,
Good to see you.
and thanks for
Wow.
keeping this up and running. Okay.
Sally, it was
Bye.
lovely. Lovely to see you. Good night,
We'll
Sally.
do it again.
It's
Bye-bye.
been 2 hours now. I think I'm going to be heading out too. It's already after 9.
Well, not before we hear from
We have to hear from everybody.
It's right. You
I've
have
had
to
a
tell
busy
us.
day.
Well, I stay up till 2 in the morning, so just talk away.
You, Amy.
Haven't changed.
Yeah, we have to hear from Joan, and then we still have to hear from Bruce. And that'll do it.
That's it.
Mine's
So-
pretty normal. Mine's pretty normal. I married a fellow,
Well, that's
Bob
good,
McGurk, from
because mine's
63. From 1963 class. So we've lived in Roseland just next door for 52 years. And we
Nice.
have three daughters that live within the area, and they each have 2 children. So we have 6 grandchildren. And it's hard not to see them now when we have COVID, but we're managing. My husband's retired, I'm retired. I graduated as a grammar school teacher, but never really got a chance to do much teaching. So I did a lot of part-time work. And I used to work at the last place I worked was Organon, which is practically I could see out my window, which Shering Plow bought, and then Merck bought them. So everybody left. So I've been retired since 2008, which I can't believe is that long ago. But we're doing fine. We're hanging in there. We're finding a lot of things to do around here that have been put on the back burner. Up until 2018, we did a lot of traveling. We both like to travel. We've been to Egypt and Turkey and Morocco and China. So it was really a lot of fun. But right now, I don't think anybody's going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So we're home.
Where
We're
are you-
enjoying it.
Joan,
What's that?
where are you living now? Where are you living now?
Roseland, right on
Roseland.
the other side of 280.
Okay,
Not a river.
and where Becker's Farm used to be.
Yeah. Well, on the other
Yeah.
side of the street, but yeah. And I went
Yeah.
to
What-
Hillside School with Sally and Ira.
And what was your maiden name?
Korzen.
Korzen,
Korzen.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Hello, Ken. We missed our mini reunions many years ago when we met at Irving's, and
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Hall was with us, and Tiffany Caminos was with us, and
Yeah.
a couple of other people. So it was a lot. We hook up with a few people here and there. Other than that, we're fine, hanging in there, and it's nice to be on this medium. I am not on Facebook, and I know my friend over there, Sue, isn't either. We get together. We've also seen Patty Sedam, Pat Sapert, Eileen Overath. Who else?
Oh, yeah.
Carol Hughes, Elizabeth Wall.
Yeah, right.
How's Patty
We've gotten
Zaper
together.
doing?
We haven't
How's
seen her
Patty
in a while.
Zaper doing?
How's who?
Patty
How's
Zaper.
Patty Zaper doing?
I guess that's been a while. That was
Yeah.
before Sandy. We saw her
Before
Because
Hurricane
the
Sandy.
place
Yeah.
that we went to in Keyport got destroyed in
demolished.
Sandy. So that's how long ago
Uh-huh.
it was that we went out for lunch.
Okay. All right, well, it's good to see you, and come on back the next time we do this.
I will. I'm signing off. Good night. Be well,
night.
Good to
everybody.
see you, Joan.
Stay strong.
Be well.
Good night, Fran.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
Bruce,
gonna
you're last
sign off
man
too.
up.
Bye,
Bruce,
everybody.
Bye,
Let's
Bob.
hear from Bruce.
Bruce, you're batting cleanup here. What's going
Last
Yeah,
on?
I
but not
know, I can
least.
tell. Well, I've,
All right, I'll listen to Bruce.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right, me too. I'll listen and then I'm
Yes.
gonna go.
Well, you know, the college, I've got 3 degrees, 2 undergraduate, 1 master's degree in finance. I'm a CPA, and I've had multiple jobs because of being the back office. We get canned every now and then. But the last I was in software. That was, and I retired in 2009. So it's 11 years in November. And I was very happy to stop it, but I do a lot of volunteer work using my financial skills. At church, I'm the head of the finance committee. We've got a big endowment that we have to maintain. And I've also been, I'm on the board of a couple different nonprofits that deal with mental health, which is very fascinating, actually, and we do a lot of good. I've been married twice, the first time for 14 years, and we have 2 daughters in that marriage, and I have 4 granddaughters, 2 from each daughter. And 1 daughter is in North Carolina. She's 51, and the other daughter is in Tennessee, and she's 49.
Isn't that creepy to have your children 50 years old?
Right, I know.
I turned 50.
Yeah.
She's older than me.
Yeah, the one in Tennessee still wants to be a rock star.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes, still trying to do that. You know, I don't comment anymore. And she has a band and does fairly well at it. Not well known, obviously, but she has a tremendous voice.
Wow.
And the other daughter is she really is a manager of the office where her husband is a partner, and they do geological remediation work down in the Carolinas.
Wow.
Which is really pretty interesting. And well, I'm still married to the second wife. And we're going to be married 30 years on December 29th, which is great. We've been together for 32 years, which is very nice. And you know, we have a big family. We Zoomed all the time with family because she's got family in California and Texas, and we all get to know each other. We rent houses and we get them all together. And I wanted to mention one thing. I'm in contact with Jim Wainmeyer too, if you all remember him.
Track star, right? He was a track
What's that?
Wasn't he a track star?
Yeah.
Yeah, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on a team.
He was on the track team.
Cross country, maybe? Yeah.
He was on a track team with.
Yeah, he was on the track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Others.
He's down in Asheville, North Carolina, where we go fairly often. We like that down there. It's a really pretty place. And we've been all over traveling. Last year at this time, we were in Africa, which is really fantastic. And some of you might have seen the pictures I posted on Facebook while we were out over there. It was really a terrific trip. Long, however, to get there, I have to admit. And the grandchildren, we've got one in college. She's a junior, I guess, at this point. And another one who's going to graduate high school this year. And the other 2 are 11 and 9. And I think that's 6th and 4th grade in Tennessee. Really good, cute kids. We don't see them often enough, which is really the problem because they're so far away. They're not around. But then forget about Facebook. They really don't like the younger ones do not like being on Facebook. They'd rather go play with their iPads, you know, that kind of stuff. And Ken Marin and I have seen each other a few times in the past, before COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
He's not in your bubble.
No, we live in Morristown, New Jersey. So I really didn't move very far. You know, and I actually have been in politics, I've been a town committeeman in Long Valley, Washington Township. That was around 1980. I would never do it again.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thankless
It's a no
job.
win. Yeah, no win.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night,
Good to
Linda.
see you.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bruce, I still
Thank you.
remember,
Thank you,
still
Jim.
remember you and
Thank you.
Dora coming down for that golf tournament when you were down here visiting your friends in Cape Coral, and I was able to swing some tickets for you. That was
great. Yeah, that really
Yeah, that was
appreciated
good.
that.
Yeah,
That was a
and,
lot
you know,
of.
it's funny. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was great to see you. I hadn't seen you since the reunion, and you know,
Right.
the thought has crossed my mind numerous times during this Zoom meeting here. How many times numerous classmates' paths have crossed with mine on totally unrelated things to what we were at one time in high school.
Yes.
So it's been an interesting life. It's been an interesting transition from student to 73-year-old, but it's just amazing to me that we can still get together like this and you know, share some time. And you know, I look at each of your faces, and I can remember, I can glean little pieces of time. Every single person that was on this meeting tonight, I have recollections of. I can recall, if nothing else, other than just, you know, a small interaction that we may have had in a hallway or in a classroom or something. And for others, it was greater than that. But it's wonderful that we have this opportunity.
Yes.
You know, reunions get noisy and they get kind of big and uncontrollable. And yeah, this was a little out of control. In the
They're
beginning.
overwhelming too. I mean, I'm an introvert. And
Yeah,
I appreciate this forum here, the way this is set up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
the big meetings are overwhelming to me.
This is
Yeah,
wonderful.
and it's nice that we have the opportunity to kind of, you know, one-on-one like this. And I don't know if you have my email address. I know you must have Drew's or Paula's, but if anybody has any recommendations to improve the next time we do this, by all means. You know, I used to get evaluations every year, annually. You know, it was kind of like a whole experience. Like, okay, here we go again. And I used to find that my best evaluations were the ones from my students. I would always have them, you know, hand in things at the end of the year. And they were brutally honest. You know, they would tell me exactly what was good and what wasn't good. And, you know, I never found that to be threatening. I always found that to be extremely productive and very helpful. So if you all have any suggestions at all on how to improve the format, or if there's anything that I can do, by all means, please get in touch with me or Drew or Paula or all of us. And
Can I say something very quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Amy. Go, Amy.
I would love to do this more often, frequently. It's been fabulous. And had I not been sitting someplace this afternoon and just happened to look at my emails, which I never do till late at night, I would have forgotten completely about this tonight. And so if we could just have a little bit more notice, maybe the week of. I was also owned a school for 33 years. And the only way I would get people to come is if I reminded them the day of, the night before, and the week before. And I think that would be very, very helpful. Besides, I'm sure you probably posted on Facebook on LHS, but I don't go on Facebook either. I just,
Amy, Amy,
Yeah.
do you use a calendar of any kind? Like Google
Just one
Calendar?
that no, I don't. I
Google
could,
Calendar,
but
you could set it up.
I write everything down. I write everything down in a little personal calendar, the old fashioned way.
She's still
No,
She's a Luddite.
I'm sorry. I just,
Good for you, Amy.
you know,
I'm with you.
when the iPad tells you, the iPhone tells you how many hours and minutes you spent on your cell phone daily the week before. And I'm at 7 hours and like 40 minutes. I'm going, I don't need to do one more thing like Facebook. I'm on the phone too much already. So, but what was I going to say? So, oh yeah, because, you know, trying to do this in person, because there's a bunch of us living in Florida, and we've always tried to say, well, we'll have a reunion. We never do. But this Zoom is fabulous. So, and there's a few people, had I not glanced at this so late in the afternoon, I would have texted a bunch of people like Brad Baker and David, you're here, thank God. And Karen Datz is missing, but Art Friedman is missing. But I'm kind of, we do forwards and texts almost every day. If I didn't have my family of 5 living with me for the next month, I'd be better organized today. But if you could just remind us a little bit more often.
Excuse me, I'm
that
sorry
would be
to interrupt.
fantastic.
My battery is dying, so I'm gonna say goodbye. I will be
Oh,
on
bye,
the next
Judy.
one. Was great to see everybody. Be healthy.
Take care, Judy.
All right,
Take
Judy.
care.
Yeah.
Wonderful to see you. You look fabulous.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So
Amy,
I hope we do this a lot.
Amy, I already have it written down. And I think those are good suggestions, and we'll put it into effect for the next go round.
And I don't have your phone number or your email. So
Okay.
slip that out somewhere. Thank you.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna post that right now. Can you access the chat on this? Can you access the chat on
What do you mean by
this,
chat?
Facebook? Right now on this Zoom page, there's a whole bunch of chats that are posted.
Oh, I don't
by
know how to do
bunch of
that. Let me see.
people. You can imagine
You're on
that?
the phone?
Would that be by the more?
Probably.
It would be
Down
on
the
your
bottom.
menu.
Yep.
Menu,
Be at the
wherever
bottom.
that is.
Yeah, Paul said goodbye and Judy said battery dying. Yeah.
There you go.
There.
Right.
There you go. So
You think they're related at
I'm
all?
gonna
No,
type
no.
a message for everybody
And what
so
would
that you can get my phone number. And it's my cell
Oh,
phone.
yes.
And
Okay.
I'm also gonna put my email address on there. And that way, those of you that are still left can get in touch with me.
So you can only do a chat while you're actually on the Zoom, correct? Zoom call.
Yeah, if you're gonna copy this information, you have to do it. Unfortunately,
Go
you have to
for
do
it.
now.
Go for it, because you're on my iPad. I'll put you in my iPhone.
Okay. And
Susan, it's so
Yes,
good to
Bill.
see you. It's really fantastic to see you. It's been what, 55 years, right?
And probably, or
Yeah,
or close to that. Well, I don't
Right.
know. If you were at home and I was at Bob's house, we probably saw each other next door to each other at some
Right.
point.
Yeah,
after
her
that.
husband was my next door neighbor. What, a year younger?
Oh.
A year younger. He
Year
graduated. in
younger.
66.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic. And
So you've been on the other coast for so long.
yeah, 1980. Right.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. Wow, this is fantastic. And you know, last month, Jim, was my first reunion I ever went to.
Really?
Really?
Probably nobody knows this. Maybe Susan, I'm sure you know this, but Nancy Feely was my ex-wife. Oh, it was awkward. That was good. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we were married like 4 years.
Is that right out of high school, Bill?
1970.
70, so
Huh,
not too
how
far.
about that?
Yeah. And George,
Wow.
you look any different. You look the same as I remember. It's a little more gray. That's the only difference.
It's real
Yeah.
though. It's real.
Yeah. Good for you.
On a wig.
Yeah, good for you. And
George, I remember standing in line with you and you and I were probably the tallest people in the class.
Yeah.
In South Mountain Arena at the end of the line, and you and I were standing there on on top of the ice, which was underneath the floor when we were waiting to graduate. And I remember standing next to you, and I also remember the birds that were flying around over our head, thinking,
right.
I hope one of them doesn't crap on our green gown.
Inside the arena.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were always in there.
Yeah.
Always there. Wow, so great. This is great.
All right, I'm going to sign off. Good night, everyone. This was great.
Good
It was
night.
great
Good
seeing
night.
everyone. Thank you so
See
much.
you, Susan.
Good
Bye-bye.
night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
It's great to see you all. And Larry and Jim, rather, we'll keep in touch. Jim, for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
George. Well, it's only 6:30 here on the West Coast, so I'm still good. I can go a few more hours.
Jim? Jim?
Amy, I wanted to
phone number.
say, I'm sure you
I'm
don't
gonna do that
remember,
right
but
now, man.
I was in Mad Woman of Chaillot. It was the last minute.
No, really?
Yeah, it
What
was
were
the
you?
last.
What were you? What were you?
It was a last minute. Keith Sherburne directed it, right? He
Right.
put out.
No, Mr.
as-
Sherborne.
Yeah,
Mr.
we need
Sherborne.
a we
is that
need
what he
an Adolphe Berthaud. And I said, this was my last. I never joined anything. Like I said, I was very shy in high school and I didn't join anything. But I said, I'm going to give this a try, and auditioned. And it was me, Drew, and somebody else. He gave it to 3 people. Do you remember that, Amy? And right at the end of the play, we come out from behind the scenery and said, what was the line? I forget. We are no longer weak. We are no longer timid. We are no longer weak. Something like that. You remember that at all? I do.
No, but I still have the script. I have the script.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Jimmy Saslow at our 50th brought me, he designed, I believe, the poster. And so he brought me an authentic copy of the poster from 50 years past and the playbill from the Mad Woman, which I think he also designed. He was a magnificent artist, unbelievable. And somebody else brought me something else from the Mad Woman, maybe a review or whatever. It was so, I don't know. High school was very, very special. Very,
It
very
had
special.
its ups and downs. It did. Yeah.
Well, sure it did. Of course it did. But thank God we went to high school when we did, because today, well, even when my kids went to high school, in their senior year, they could go off campus and take classes at the associate degree colleges, the 2-year community colleges.
Right.
And so those that could and would and were bright enough would go off campus, high school campus. And consequently, they were never,
I'm
they were
checking.
never,
I gotta go practice guitar.
bye, Jeff.
Sounds good.
They-
Thank
See
you,
y'all.
Jesse. Good seeing you.
Hi, honey.
See y'all
We
again.
have to get together, Jeff. Jeff, we
Amy,
have
your
to get
video
together.
was off. Amy,
You and I have to
click
get
on your
together.
video.
Huh?
Amy,
Say
click
that
on
again.
your video. I think
I
it's off.
know, I don't know what to do.
It just says
Oh,
video.
okay.
Just click on it. Start video.
Where?
Not yet.
Start
Down there
video.
someplace. it says-
I
yeah,
start
that's-
video, but you cannot
it
start
want-
your video because the host has disabled it. Jim, you disabled me.
Jim, did you get rid of her? I was trying to tell you something.
Jim wants me gone.
I did.
Tell her.
Jim, you want me gone. Okay, so go ahead.
He wants your feathered boa.
The host asked you to
May have
start
done
your
that when he was
video.
sending you a message.
Okay.
There you are.
Thank you.
Back.
Yeah.
Hello again.
Sorry
morning.
about that.
Good morning. So
I think
anyhow,
I accidentally did that when I sent you my text message. Sorry.
Amy,
about
could you
that.
just say something about a feathered boa? Why before you leave? Do you want your feathered boa?
oh my God. That play destroyed my life. I
Yeah,
never intended to. I never had any hopes or dreams or thoughts about the theater.
Not even a
I was-
fantasy.
I was your student council vice president in our junior year,
Yeah.
and David Hutchinson was our president. And there, Mr. Sherborne was having auditions in the auditorium. And I was standing on the front porch of the high school, waiting for a gentleman by the name of John Wolf to pick me up and take me home. And I guess we got our messages mixed up and he never showed up. So by 4 o'clock, I walked back into the high school and I heard noises coming from the auditorium. So I opened the auditorium door and I sat in the back row. And poor Mr. Sherborne was only getting Denise Kahn and Kathy Page to audition for the play for the female role of the Mad Woman. Well, if you recall, they were both rather short, maybe 5'3". And it was not the stature. Oh dear. What
He
happened?
disappeared again.
I've disappeared again.
I didn't do it.
Am I back? Wait a minute.
Hey,
Yep,
you're back.
yep.
Hey,
Yep.
Mr. Sherburne.
maybe it's a
Mr.
battery.
Sherburne is in the front of the audience and he says, "Are you here to audition for the play?" And I said, no. And he goes, "Would you like to?" And I said, "Oh, no. I'm the student council vice president. I have an obligation and a responsibility to my class." So he said,
And how that
"Would you like
relates
try
to
it with us?"
acting,
And
I have
said,
no
"No,
idea.
thank you. No. So who walks in? I didn't want to. I mean, I was terrified. So who walks in and sits down right next to me? David Hutchinson, the president of the student council. So David says to me, "Amy, why don't you go up on the stage and audition?" I said, "David, I'm your student council vice president. I couldn't possibly do that to you. I have my responsibility and my obligation to the class." So Mr. Sherborne, desperate. I mean, it's like 4:25 and 4:30, the auditions are over and he has nobody to play a lead, which is only on 70 out of 75 pages of the stupid script. I mean, how do you do that to a person in high school?
Yeah.
So David says, "Amy, why don't you go up there?" So I said, "Okay, David, fine. You read opposite me and we'll both of us go up on that stage and then I'll audition, okay?" He says, "Okay." So David goes up on the stage with me and I sit there and I read the script, right? And Mr. Sherburne says, "Okay, everybody, thank you very much. Good night." The next morning I come into school and it's posted on the wall someplace. And everybody is crowded around, Denise Kahn, Denise Schilling, rather, Kathy Page, and they're desperate for this part of the Mad Woman. And they look at me with daggers in their eyes, and the crowd parts. And I go up and I see Amy Allen, the Mad Woman of Chaillot. I went, "No, I can't possibly do that." And I look at the script and I see I'm on every page. Once she enters on page whatever it was, she never gets off the stage. And I
It's
said,
almost a
"I can't
solo
do that.
show. It's almost solo.
Oh, it was terrible. It was horrible. I was so terrified. I memorized the script backwards. If I start on the last page, I could go through the entire script.
Wow.
I'm sitting in the wings of opening night and I have the script on a little chair. And I turned to somebody and I said, "I don't remember my first line. What do I say? What do I say?"
Stage fright, right?
Yes, I was terrified. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's the story of the Mad Woman. You know what? It was definitely typecasting. I realize I am a mad woman. I've always.
Hey, Amy, what do you think you would have done? Amy, what do you think you would have done if you didn't go into theater? What, did you have any daydreams about being a nurse or a
Well, I
teacher?
was an education. I was an education major.
Yeah.
I graduated Boston University with a degree to teach high school,
Right.
English, speech, and drama. And then when I went and did my master's, that qualified me to teach college. And I did. I taught college for 7 years. And then I opened my
Cool.
own school. So
Nice.
there you go. We're all teachers. At least some of us are in some
Yeah.
form or another. But anyway, this was grand, Jim. I don't mean to keep on talking, but this was just very exciting.
Did you get my
So happy.
text message? Did you
Huh?
get my text message? I
No,
sent
'cause
it
I-
out to everybody. Everybody has my
Oh,
phone
yes,
number and my.
yes.
Yeah, I see it.
Let me, I'm afraid to hang up
So,
before I do it.
239.
Wait a minute.
8.
Yeah, make sure that you copy it down.
Yeah, wait a minute.
or,
Let me do that
copy
real
and
quick.
paste it. Because once I close the meeting room down.
Yeah, okay, let me do
That
this
would
real
be
quick. 239 218 8774. Add number.
Right.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me add your number, babe. Oh, dear.
So Jim, thank you again for organizing this. You did a great job. We're indebted
Thanks
to you.
again. Thanks. It's good to see you, man.
Definitely.
You know, we spent some time in high school and, you know, I think we were kind of simpatico in high school. You know, the world was spinning around our heads and we didn't know what the fuck was going on. But you know, here we are, and you know, I admire you for everything that you accomplished, and you know, that's what it's all about. And it's good to see you. Thank you.
David, Amy, Bill, Bruce, great seeing all of you.
Good seeing
Thank
you,
you.
Ken.
See you next time.
Look forward to the next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like
Okay,
I'm at
we
a
all good?
reunion. I feel like I'm at a reunion, a real reunion. And every time we had a reunion, I never wanted to leave. You know, I always felt like,
Right, right.
I always felt like,
It's funny you mentioned that, because whenever I was going out the door or going back to my room, you were still at the bar.
I know, and I wasn't a drinker. I can't say goodbye.
Yeah.
I just have a lot
I
of good.
know. I know how it is. David, it's so good to see you. I love you.
Yeah.
You know, you're in my heart, man. I appreciate it.
A lot of good memories. I think we were in every class together through sixth grade anyway, right? Sinisi and
Yeah.
right from second to sixth, we just, and we were both interested in art, although you were good at it and I was a beginner. I remember that. But I kept at it and it paid off.
Oh, yeah.
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 What elementary
memories.
school, Dave?
We were at Harrison
Harrison, okay.
on Livingston
Harrison.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Amos W. Harrison, I think it was.
Yeah, all except for sixth grade, and we were sent across
Then
town
we
to
went to-
Roseville.
Right, and that was Mr. Sinisi. Jim, you told me he passed
Jules.
away. I think you told me that. Sinisi,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I was in teaching when he was retiring. He actually left early, didn't really
Oh, he did?
retire. He left to go into business. And I
Yeah.
begged him to stay. I said, you know, we were pretty good friends by then. He was a football coach at the high school.
I thought he only
said,
taught for 2
"Please."
years. He taught more than a couple of years?
He taught for about 4 altogether.
Okay.
And, you know, part of it was after he left, he was still part-time, he was still coaching part-time.
Okay.
And I begged him to come back, and, you know, the money
it's
wasn't
funny, I
there for
bumped
him.
into-
Yeah, he had a family
I-
and you know, he had kids, and his father-in-law was into the import-export trade, and
Right, I remember that.
yeah, it was an offer he couldn't refuse.
I bumped into him once and I said, you know, you had this picture on the right blackboard, the white, blackboard of the human heart in colored chalk and everything. I said, I got to tell you something. I think that set me on my path. That course, you know, funny how things click in sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
He was a sweet guy.
and-
He was a wonderful guy.
Did you
Yeah, and if you
John
remember-
Rowley?
John
Rowley
Rowley,
was-
I remember.
John Rowley. He was
I didn't have him.
he was my sixth grade teacher at Roosevelt. No,
Yeah, he was
Yeah, he was
at
one of
sixth
he-
grade at Roosevelt, not Roosevelt.
yeah, it was Roosevelt. Wasn't he at Roosevelt?
Roosevelt, right. And
Yeah.
he took the class out. He had a Thunderbird of all things. He had a classic Thunderbird, and he took the class out to his car and he popped the hood and he started showing everybody, this is the carburetor, blah, blah, blah. Here's the fan. And this is what it was a part of the science class. And
Yeah.
what got me started, I was fascinated by it. And that's what got me started in engineering.
He ran the pool too. He
Yeah.
was at the pool, the Northland
Yes, he
pool.
was. Yes, he did. Yep.
Nice guy, very nice guy.
Yep. Yep.
And John went on to become the principal of Heritage Junior High School when that opened.
Okay.
And he retired from there as the principal. And I'm still friends with him today. Both he and his wife Joan were in touch with
Oh,
one
say
another.
hi for me if you would.
I will definitely do that.
May or may
He's a
not.
sailor. He's a fellow sailor, and we
Yeah.
often talk about sailing experiences. And he's
Yeah,
a
he
great
had
guy.
a
I love
T-bird,
him.
which was for a school teacher owning a T-bird, I thought that was, well,
Yeah,
maybe he's connected.
yeah.
to it.
But you're right, David. Jules did pass away. He passed away very, very young.
What got him? You know what he died of?
No, I don't, but I'm pretty sure that it was heart related,
Yeah.
ironically, after the Do you remember the reason that, do you remember why that diagram was on the board?
I think he was teaching us about the heart, right?
Yes, but we also had gone to the Franklin Institute on a field trip
Right.
that year.
Right, where they had a
And
heart. You climbed
They
into.
had that big walk through heart that we went through. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Great
think I
guy.
told him that, I told him, I think that 10 years after I saw that picture, I had my fingers inside a human heart, something like that. It's funny how things
Wow.
get started.
Wow.
Yeah, I tell you, it's really amazing what can kick off an interest. Ask Amy, right, Amy? With the
Yeah, Mr.
acting.
Sherborne.
It's an incident and all of a sudden your whole life has
Yeah.
changed.
It
Yeah.
generally is. It's
Yeah.
a mentor somewhere. It's a mentor either in school or college or somewhere along the line, but it's one person that's a mentor that just
Yeah.
sparks,
Quick.
ignites. And then
It's
that's
funny
your
how
path.
that happens.
Yeah, it's your
Funny.
path.
You have all these
Yeah.
plans, and then a little
Yeah.
minuscule event can change it. Not that I had
It
any.
becomes a
plans.
passion. It's a passion. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
Well, on
And
that
here we are.
note, folks, I think we're going to say goodnight. And
All right,
uh,
Jimmy.
Thank
we're
you
going
so
to
much.
again real soon.
Thanks again, Jim.
Thank you
See
so much.
everybody.
It's been
Night,
great.
everybody.
Happy
Be
holidays,
well. Keep
everybody.
exhaling.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone. We'll see
Take
you
it
soon.
easy. Be good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.